Hi, and welcome to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio. Today is Friday, October 3rd, 2025. We welcome you to the show. Mike will be with us here in a moment. And been out gardening again, pulling weeds, getting ready to close them all down. And I tripped over a small fence and landed in the middle of the road on my tailbone and my elbow. And so Michael spent about an hour doing energy work on me while I had my hand in the Avicen, and all is well. I assume I got the adjustment that I needed. It was kind of funny because while he was breathing me, it was like this visual of picture your spine, like the bones and everything. And this little man was just climbing up the spine. So, not sure what all that meant. The energy was definitely moving though. But anyway, so hope all is well. Anybody have anything to say? Unmute yourself. Welcome to the show. Michael will pop on here in a second. No? Okay. Well, we have several things that I've been putting on the website, so be sure and go out and look around. Besides the session that Michael was reading on the formula for living and being, and we've got several videos out there on YouTube around that, and some of them are really short, so give those a listen. If you're on our YouTube channel and you do listen to a video, definitely click like, comment. If you're not already following us, follow us. All of that helps us with the algorithm, and we're really close to being where we can earn money on YouTube. So all of that helps us. We've been putting several shorts out there. I actually need to do that probably this weekend. We don't have the kids, so put some more of those out. And a short is, if you're not familiar with it, they're just clips that are 1 to 3 minutes long. And so there's lots of those out there. Hey, Carrie, go ahead.
Hey, I just have a question, Jeanie, about your Women Healing Women workshop.
Right.
Um, so uh, is it just a general women together doing healing, or is it specifically focused on women's issues? Like things like healing from the patriarchy, abuse, all of those kinds of things.
Well, it's actually basically a Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop, except it's done with women. And the way that that came about is during an intensive that we did in Palm Coast. And one of the topics came up. I don't remember what it was. It was about ministrating or something. And I was talking about it. And one of the ladies, she came up to me and she said, we're not all comfortable talking about stuff like that in front of guys. You need to have a women's intensive so that, things like that can pop up and be talked about. And so I said, okay, I'll consider it. Well, it was like a dog with a bone. She actually had bought a house in Pompano Beach, and she didn't even have it furnished yet. And so she bought essentials like table and chairs, and we had blow up mattresses, and she did have a couch and a whiteboard. And so the first intensive I did was in that setting, and it was awesome. We had, I don't remember, 10 ladies or something like that. Probably one of the most powerful women intensives that I did. We were at Oak Island, North Carolina. And it was the first time we've done this. We had a big house that we had rented. And so Michael was doing a regular 9-day why downstairs in the house. I was doing a 9-day women's upstairs. And then we would join the two groups together when we breathed and when we ate and things like that. So that worked out really pretty cool. But during that intensive, it was small in the women's intensive. I think there were 5 of us, and everyone that was in the intensive had either lost a baby or aborted, or there was something. And so I had them write a letter. That was a topic that we discussed, and the guilt and the sadness and the different emotions that came up around that. And we all wrote a letter to that baby. And then we went out on the beach and we had metal bowls and we lit the letters on fire in each bowl. And then the ladies would take the ashes and throw it out into the waves. And so it was kind of this big release ceremony. And it was amazing after the last one had thrown the ashes out, this flock of seagulls swooped down. I mean, I don't know how many there were. They came in and they really low down to the edge of the water and went over us. And so that was really powerful. And, you know, we did a lot of laughing. We did one woman, she had never had a relationship. I don't remember what her age was, maybe in her 50s. And she had never had a romantic relationship and she didn't have any clue about a whole lot of things. And so that was an open discussion. And it probably wasn't but about 6 months after the intensive that she got married. And so that was amazing. And so it's a safe space with other women that anything that wants to come up and be discussed, that we discuss it. But it basically follows the Why Is This Happening to Me Again 9-day intensive. So we cover, you know, the forgiveness work, relationships, codependency, communication. So we cover all of those. And so anybody that attends a 9-day women's is eligible to go into the teacher's training, which 9-day why is required to go into teacher's training. And so this is equivalent to the 9-day why. And so it makes it where any woman that attends one of those that, you know, she can move into the teacher's training if she wants to. But I don't have one scheduled. There were several people that said, oh, I want you to do one, but I didn't have enough people to commit. And so I couldn't rent a facility or whatever. I considered doing one online, and there again, I didn't have enough women to commit to attend. And so it just hasn't happened again. All totaled, I've probably done 5 women's intensives over the past few years. And it's been really powerful for me anyway. Of course, I tell them, you know, you're here to witness what I need to learn, because we always teach best what we need to learn. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. So welcome, Michael.
Thank you, dear heart. And as you're talking about the Women Healing Women intensive, something that I've been getting more and more excited about is the fact that I've been working on the introduction to your book. Well, that's not the exciting part, but I've been working on the introduction to your book. And what I'm realizing what a gift it's going to be to the world, because you're going to be the first person in history to actually write a book about working through, using the actual tools of Jesus, working through the gut level, gritty trauma of generational patterns. I mean, you're putting it out there, and there's never been a book on the planet. I mean, you go back to the scriptures, and they talk about, you know, Martha was sick in bed. Jesus put his hands on her, and she got up and made dinner for everybody. But there's more to it. And so as I'm writing this, I'm realizing how profound your input to the world is, and what a door it's going to open, both energetically on the planet and for anybody who reads it. So I'm excited. It's pretty cool. You're not going to say a word.
When is the book coming out? When is the book coming out? Do you know?
Well, I've got everything laid out. I've created I was checking on BookBaby, and I got a template from them to lay out. I already had the front and the back, but I hadn't created the spine. And so I did that over the last couple of days. I've got that all set up. I've got all the ISBNs. I mean, it's basically ready to go. part of it will depend on funds because I've checked, and just to do an ebook, it's like almost $800. If I want to have it print on demand, it's closer to 1,000. And so I'm going to check with Amazon and see what their pricing is. BookBaby sends it out to all of the formats like Amazon and Kindle and, all of that as an e-published book. And then it's print on demand. So if somebody wants to order from them, they can print one book at a time and ship it to the client to the purchaser. And so
have you checked with publishing houses like Hay House?
the only thing is I have not, I was attempting to do a self-publish only because that allows us to keep the money from it. And publishing houses get anywhere from 40 to 60%.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So anyway, we will see how it goes, but I'm checking on those things right now. I've actually wrote to a couple of people who I know have self-published books and asked them who they used and how it went and things like that. And so
And
some
publishing houses want somebody who's out there on the road, bringing an audience to the book, and that's not something we're going to be doing at this point. It's going to be through our work on the internet. That's why we're working on building the community site and the course site and such. So,
well, the other thing about publishing houses too is I've had a couple of people who've had bad experiences with their contracts, and then the publishing houses wanted to do some edits that they weren't comfortable with. So
Right.
I think you're probably on the right track. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't checked. I'm not sure, because parts of my book are very raw and very graphic. And so I don't know if they rate them like, rated R or whatever. But
so that to me is, it really is an illustration of what it takes to really do your work. Why is this happening to me again? Lays out the principles and says, here's how it works. And there's a conversation with the guy, and we get him to take a look, but it isn't the raw gut level going through the kinds of things that Jeanie's laying out. And I think it's going to be a powerful inspiration for anybody who's been through a lot of trauma and pain and is ready to take the work to the next level. So pretty exciting.
Congratulations, Jeanie. I think that's a really wonderful thing you're doing.
thank you. It has
Don't
definitely
open the door.
Yeah. Even the experience of writing it, has, like, what started as a breath workshop that we did in Brooksville, Florida, I think it was. Anyway, it was on an ancient burial ground. And during a breath session, I went back to being like a Native American girl, and I was captured by white men and raped and mistreated and all of these things. And in the book, so that starts out with the introduction, and then I say, but this book isn't about that Native American girl. Do I believe in past lives? It felt like it was me, but if I gave a direct answer, I'd say, no, I don't. So maybe it was an ancestor. There's Native American in my genealogy, and, perhaps issues that they hadn't faced. And then now I come to this current life and face, I got married at 16 and was in that marriage for 3 years and was basically raped and sodomized daily, and didn't know to call it that because he was my husband. He had rights, right? And so perhaps
Insanity.
the Native American girls' issues, come forward to current day. Maybe it just came into my space because I was finally going to be the one in my lineage that was going to face it and deal with it. And so then the book goes on, and several chapters I go through my experience. And like there's one chapter that's titled, Who Am I? And I go through and I tell, a paragraph or two of something, and who am I? I'm used goods, and I tell a little bit of something else. Who am I? I'm, lost. And so it's a whole paragraph, I mean, a whole chapter on who am I, and all of the distorted thoughts that I developed about myself based on my 3 or 4 years between 16 and 19 years old. And then later in the book, the whole chapter is worksheets. And I take each individual who am I and do a worksheet on it. So it's an example of how do you do a worksheet on an issue that pops up like that. And so that's kind of in a nutshell. And so it's how I got from thinking that I didn't deserve any better and up to, okay, who am I? Now a woman who has a voice. And then in the epilogue, I bring it together, the horrible things that have been done to Native Americans, to the human trafficking that's going on today, and to people who have survived it, people who didn't survive it, even though they're not in their body, they have a voice, or they need to have a voice for them. And so anyway, that's kind of, and it's healing the generations. And how are we doing it? One breath at a time.
Yeah, Terry Boulding was at the workshop where that Native American memory came up for you. We didn't know we were on Native American burial grounds until Jeanie had that experience. And a couple of people came out of the breath session and shared the same thing, and that was, I have to breathe, that Native Americans asked them internally, can we travel through you to the light? Do you remember that, Terry? And actually the morning after that breath session, I wake up and Jeanie's nowhere in sight. Where is she? And she's grinning. I went looking for her, and she's laying down on the floor beside the hardwood floor beside the bed. It's like, honey, what are you doing down there? Well, this is where I'm supposed to sleep. And what came up was that she was in a cage, forced to sleep on the floor of a cage, being dragged around by these white men who were selling her. And you've heard us mention the hip issue for Jeanie. That once that opened, that was a major trauma for several years. Took time to move through that, and every once in a while, when a new healing crisis shows up, Jeanie will get another layer of that hip pain. We talked about that just the other day. Another layer of cleaning that out of her structure happens.
And it happened when I started really getting into the book and writing it, then the pain would come back. I think the falling on my tailbone out in the road this morning gave me a hip adjustment that I probably needed.
Gary?
Yes, I do remember. I remembered the energy after that surfaced, and the activity and the energy was very, it was very intense. And it was definitely something that had affected the whole group. It was a powerful impact.
Yeah, definitely. And if I remember correctly, it was 2 people. It might have been 3, but I think it was 2 people who came back from that still point session saying, I had a Native American spirit come to me and ask for help. When we finished the intensive, we talked to the woman who ran it and found out that it was a Native American burial ground. We didn't know that when we first rented the facility.
Yeah, and Michelle,
you think of,
if you remember, Michelle has has 16 Native American in her. She was part of that experience. She was one of the people too, if I recall correctly.
yeah, it's powerful. And so the fact that Jeanie has put the gut level work of grinding through what insanity has been done on the planet, specifically using the exact tools that Jesus taught 2,000 years ago, I think is just going to be blockbuster. So congratulations, Jeanie, for your willingness, your courage, your intelligence, your fortitude. It's pretty amazing.
Thank you. And to answer your question, Carrie, if funding comes through, so hold the space for that, and Michael finishes the forward, I'm ready to send it to either Amazon or to BookBaby. So,
I'm the hold up with the introduction. I've been working on that
Yeah.
for a few days
And
now.
I would like to see it pop out before Christmas, because I think that would be a good fundraiser too, to send out an email for everybody to order it. And I'm not sure, but I think on Amazon, if a bunch of people order it the same day, and whether it's electronic or printed, it kicks it up. I'm not sure all of that detail
Gives you
yet.
ratings and sets you up higher on their search.
Right.
Yeah. And the fact that basically since we stopped traveling, cash flow has been a challenge, and each time we have anything over and above what it takes to live, which we do fairly meagerly, then what's the next project we can do? That's how the app came about. Another piece of Jeannie's work was the app, and
Susan
that's
just
how the work is.
Susan just
Go
put
ahead.
in the chat to have a pre-sale and let us buy copies that would help fund the funds accumulate. Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you, Susan.
Cool. So, any other thoughts for you, sweetheart?
No, I'm complete. Thank you all for your support. Susan says, sign me up. Thank you. And I'm not sure yet. Thank you, Sally. On the pricing, I know that like Kindle and ebooks are usually, like $5 or something like that. Hard copy's going to be 15 to 20, but it's let me look. Right now it is 225 pages, and once it gets over 200, the price goes up. But anyway, that's how it is.
And before I got on, Jeannie, you shared about your foray into the road this morning.
Oh, I shared about the little guy crawling up my spine.
Oh, did you? Okay,
Yeah.
that was what I was going to do. Is that being open to and keeping a mind frame connected to love, and that old statement from the scriptures: all things work together for good. And I know for me personally, I've had several times where I've had what people would call accidents or what would be injuries, and they've been an upgrade. And so immediately when Jeannie had that mishap this morning, we went into energy field work and breathing and aligning the structure of the antenna and purposely, consciously tapping into the interface with Christ mind. And one of the instructions we give when we do the intuitive development intensive is your mind has a way of structuring and seeing things, and now we want you to throw all that away, because when you start touching into the actuality, it much of it doesn't even resemble what structures in our mind look like. So one of the practices in the intuitive development is using different mechanisms for experiencing the actuality directly, of letting it in, creating openings to let it in. An example would be there's a really powerful video on YouTube. And I guess you could probably put in search child, blind, and let's see what else would. We'll have to see if we can find that video. You probably know the one I'm talking about. You're already searching for it, Jeannie.
His name's Ben, and I think I've actually got it on our page. I'll drop the link in the chat.
So this is a young boy who, when he was a child, had eye disease and lost both his eyes. And his mother said, and we're not going to let that hold you back. And she taught him to make a clicking sound with his tongue and to use his ears to receive information back from whatever that clicking sound hit energetically. They bounced back and use that input to form pictures in his brain, to see. This kid could see. In the video, it shows him walking down the street with an interviewer, and the kid's totally complete. He doesn't see one bit of light, but he sends out this clicking sound, and he informs the interviewer, "Yeah, there's a garbage can over there, and here's this, and here's that." The kid rides his bike out on the street. The kid plays basketball, blind, and so he uses just this clicking sound and the feedback coming back to his ears to allow his mind to structure pictures, a construct. And of course, we've all been channeled in certain ways to create these structures in our minds. One of the objectives of intuitive development is to recognize that, well, yeah, we've got these frequencies of light and of sound and of touch and of taste and of smell. But if they're the only ones we ever practice, then we're limited to output based in those things and the way that we've been trained to use them. So one of the objectives is to recognize there are many other ways of receiving energetic information and formulating understanding. And so that example that she gave, it was actually just a moment or two after some really, like, I was on her ears, and her ears were, I've talked about how the pulse is showing, or will pay attention to pulsing when it happens, because it's a new level of alignment, new energy flowing in the system, and gives you new information. And so her ears were like, just off her jaw, and her ears, as I'm doing the energy field work on her, are pulsing like a jackhammer. And then she has this intuitive message, she fell on her spine. And here's this, she gets this visual of this little guy going up her spine doing repairs. It's like, there are many different ways of receiving information that don't have to do with taste, touch, smell, hearing, and sight. And so that's the whole objective, is creating an interface between actuality and the mind, other than the 5 physical senses in the carbon-based memory system. So that's part of the fun process of healing. And we'll just open the floor. Anybody have any thoughts, questions, answers, ideas? Go for it, Melissa. Hey, young lady, welcome.
I just had something real quick I wanted to say. I guess synchronicity. You always say the right thing to me. I have been looking online the last few days as I've been laying here hurting, I guess. I have nothing else to do. I've been looking online. My son just bought a house. Him and his wife just bought this beautiful home. And I've been trying to find the perfect gift for them for their house. They have a lot of money, so they're really hard to buy for because they just buy anything they want. And I've been online trying to find the perfect gift for them. And I found what I think I want to get them, but I gotta find the right one. And I also decided that I'm going to buy myself that exact same thing because I thought I needed it in my house. And what it is a framed thing of the saying, all things come together for the greater good.
Mm.
And then you just now said it, and it just confirmed to me that I need to buy one for myself to hang in my house. And
There
it's
you
like you just always say the things that just jump out at me and just remind me that I'm on the right path, and I just appreciate it so much, and I wanted to say that.
Cool. Well, it's interesting, the part of that quote that you're talking about, but there's another part to that quote, and there's a condition that causes all things to work together for good. Now, in the Greek translations, it says believe, but it actually is more, we're back to the interface, to those who are connected to the Creator in love. All energies create support to uplift us into what we're designed for. So the first part of that statement, I think, is really important too, that we, when the mind wants to turn negative, when the mind wants to turn to some sort of thought disorder, to discipline yourself, to own and move through everything less than, so that we are aligned with that energy in which we live, move, and have our being. The Shikinta, as we talked about the other day, that we're aligned with that. And that's the power that moves through all space and all time, all circumstances, all relationships. And if we're in alignment with that, that power has chosen to follow our requests. Remember, the ask and you will receive. You can imagine the point at which the Creator, being in control of all life, nothing goes against what the Creator says. There isn't a dog that sings like a canary. Dogs bark. That's what the Creator put in the dog. The dog can't change its voice, can't originate anything. There's no creature we know of on the planet that can originate anything that goes against their inner nature, except for humans. And if we go against our inner nature, which is connected love, then we instruct the Creator to do all sorts of crazy things. Now, the Creator is the only one that can act. The Creator is the only one with the power. But you can imagine the point where the Creator goes inside and said, okay, I've been in charge of everything till now. Now I'm going to turn it over to you. You originate. You ask. You set the query into your AI device, your carbon-based memory system. And whatever's in there, I will play out. I will literally live it out for you. If you are aligned with me, which in that statement, the good, then everything, since everything is under my control, everything will work in harmony for your upliftment. If you decide to do something that's not for your upliftment, then I'll carry that out for you too, but that's up to you. So I think recognizing that for all things to work together for good means we choose to be aligned with that outcome, which we call good. But if we speak against that outcome, if we originate something different, the Creator doesn't have a choice. The Creator brings it to us. So joining with you in that, your willingness to do your work and to step up to the plate and move forward, it's awesome. It's awesome. The fact that, Alyssa, you came to one workshop, 30 years ago or maybe more?
Yeah, I think I went to one 40 years ago and then one in Key West 30 years ago. That's it.
And the fact that that's been until you started listening to the show recently, until you got back in touch, the fact that you picked those tools up and you did it on your own, and you did it the personal code evaluation recently. I want to acknowledge you because there's never anybody that's taken the personal code evaluation that's had the kind of scores that you have without having done Yeshua's work. So it really speaks of the fact you took it to heart and you've been doing your work. So it's pretty awesome, and that's the thing I'm excited about. And you might think about doing something like this too. The more records of people who pick up the tools and use them and show that it can be done. That thing I was talking about that I'm excited about with Jeanie, that I'm realizing as I'm writing her forward, that she's putting this gut level grind into real terms, that specifically using these tools that people can really understand what Yeshua was saying. That when that particular group of disciples were with him and he told them what they had to do, basically he used an idiom for it, but it was basically, you're going to have to do your gut level work. The better half, the larger half of the disciples that were there were so in resistance to that, they said, quote, "Too hard a saying, who can hear it?" And they left. And the scriptures record they walked with him no more. And just as a little aside, and I mentioned this the other day, but it really brings home when you invite people to do their work, how much disturbance people carry on they don't even know is there. But the state, the energy state in that circumstance, if you read that passage, Yeshua turned to Peter and the others, he said, "Are you leaving too?" The resistance was so high in those who were at that moment his disciples, when he said, "You got to dig in and do your work." Too hard of saying, who can hear it? We're out of here. And of course, the ones who are out of there are the ones who turned around and bastardized everything that he said and turned it into an easy, oh, he'll do it for you. All you have to do is say, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And that's not all you have to do. You have to actually believe in what the man said. You have to actually understand the tools that he gave and do the work he said to do. So there are those who are out there doing this easy, well, there's nothing you can really do, ignoring his words directly. At one point there's a group who comes to him and yelling, Jesus, Jesus. And he says, why do you call me Lord? Why do you do that when you do not do what I say? And the ones who made up the fake stories are running a lot of churchianity today will tell you there's nothing you can do. And they say that pretending to be putting Yeshua out there, but Yeshua said there's a work to be done, and the willingness to do it. So I congratulate you for picking those tools up with 2 exposures 30 and 40 years ago and using them to that degree is awesome. And
Well, thank you. And that's just the profound effect you had on me. And I've read your book many, many times, and I've watched so many videos many, many times, and you've just had that effect on me. And I don't know. And I am trying to figure out where my life's going to go next. And I just have faith that it's going to lead me in the right direction. So I appreciate you saying that. I'm not 100% what direction that's going to be, but I know it's going to be the right direction.
who knows? Maybe you'll join Jeanie in writing about your experiences of what it takes to do it, because so many people are presented with the ideas, but they have no idea how to put them into practice, how to actually do the work. And of course, everybody in this call has had the gut level experience of doing their work. I'd invite everybody, if it's appropriate for you, if that's in alignment with your purpose. But to me, the modeling that Jeanie is giving, especially in the insanity that's done to women in our world today, that she's giving to women to reclaiming their power, reclaiming their voice, reclaiming their being in the presence of so much insanity, and giving voice to that is profound. So I'd invite anybody.
Yeah, it really is.
Even if you're not a writer, just toy with it. Put it in writing, and who knows what happens with it. I know one young lady who will remain unnamed unless she chooses to push the mute button, who's got all these memoirs for all of these years when she was doing her work but didn't have the tools, and then did the upgrade to using the tools, and how much that changed her world. So I know she's got a lot of written material that who knows whether she'll publish it or not. Maybe. Do you think you might do that? You know who I'm talking to, Susan. Okay, she's not hitting me button, so I'll let it go.
Unmute
Well, I
and
agree.
mute
Go
it
for
again.
it.
Well, thank you. And I, like I said, I know I'm heading in the right direction. I don't know where that would lead me exactly. And sometimes I think nobody wants to hear what I have to say. And it's not even like I think, oh, nobody cares about me. It's not even that, because I think
Right.
a lot of the people I'm surrounded by don't want to hear it, because I'm surrounded by a lot of people that just don't get it. But I also can really see that I have affected a lot of people. I mean, I do get a lot of people that come back and just say, you know what, you're right. But I also kind of maybe am disappointed by, like some people, a certain person that I just feel like I've tried and tried and tried again and just don't get anywhere. And so I kind of
Somebody
feel
we know
like,
and cherish.
exactly. And I just
Yeah.
feel like, which I haven't given up, but I just feel like I don't get anywhere. So that makes me think people in my surroundings don't want to hear about it because they don't really get it. And, so I haven't really got to the point of thinking people want to hear about it, I guess,
Yeah.
But I
Well, there's
do constantly talk and share it. I mean,
good.
absolutely.
Yeah. There's an old saying that says you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But
Exactly.
if you model using the tools, you can make them thirsty.
Yeah, but I've kind of been more the person that just kind of throws a bucket of water on them. So, and that seems to make them more mad. Run. So I need to learn how to do it a little better. So,
All
but
right.
I'll get it figured out. I'm definitely going in the right direction. So I feel like it anyways. So
Awesome. Nice work. Very
well,
sweet.
thank you. Thanks.
All right.
I will add that
Go.
one of the things I even mentioned this in the book is that I knew that part of my healing was going to require exposure. And I guess that was probably, I did a lot of worksheets around the fear of that, because even though I don't mention him by name, if anybody that knows that we had been married, even though that was 50 years ago, that they would know who I was talking about. And so the exposure of, and it's like holding him accountable in a way. I could have held him accountable legally. I didn't know that I could do that, but in a way, this is holding him accountable. I have gotten to the point where if I ran into him, and I haven't seen him in 50 years, but if I ran into him on the street, I wouldn't hold that raw hatred. And actually in the book, I refer to it as murder. And, it says if you do it in your heart, that you've done it. And so working through all of that and actually getting to the point, while I do not pardon him for what he did, and I didn't hold him legally accountable, in a way, this exposure is holding him accountable. So it definitely brought up some fear around, oh, do I really do this? Do I tell the story? So, but Terry's got her hand up.
Just one thought, Terry, before we jump on with you, and that is that statement from Yeshua. If you do it in your heart, you've done it. The thing to get from that statement is, if we do it in our heart, we've done it. We've done it to ourselves. The person who has this murderous action or hatred action or what have you, that never expresses it but carries it around inside of them unforgiven, is doing that to themselves. And that's one of the reasons why the shift that happens and the change that happens with really knowing what forgiveness means out of that first century language and engaging in it means those things that we've done because we didn't know we were doing it to ourselves, we can undo, we can free ourselves from. And, you look at the generations of vengeance that people live out of, you look at the vengeance going on in the world today, and you can see the impact of that. And that's, there's a reliable set of tools for undoing that. Is just profound, I think. So, Miss Terry, how are you, young lady?
I am well. I have 3 different questions I think that I would like to ask about today.
Great.
Jeanie, when you were, I logged on a little bit late. When you were talking about writing the letter to the baby, can you, that's all I heard. You wrote a letter to a baby. So that brought up something for me. And I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit, just the background a little bit more.
Sure. Someone was asking about the Women Healing Women intensives that I do and how they differ. And I was giving the example of a release exercise that we did. Michael was doing a regular 9-day why intensive downstairs in this house, and I was doing a 9-day Women Healing Women upstairs. And we joined the groups together for breathing and eating. But
I told her I'd put a dress on if I could come to some of the women's sessions, but she wouldn't let me.
I mean, they would be like, you all sound like you're having too much fun up there, because we'd be laughing, we'd be crying, but anyway, every woman that was in that intensive, including myself, had either miscarried, lost a baby, aborted, or something, and carried around a lot of guilt, grief, pain around that incident, even though it happened years before. So I had each one of them name the baby if they hadn't named it, and then write a letter to it explaining, you know, what, why they did what they did, what their mind thought was at that time, what position they were in at that time, and perhaps even apologize to the baby. But anyway, you know, it was totally private. Nobody read their letters. And so that was their exercise for the afternoon, was to spend time alone writing the letters. And then that evening we took the letters out to, we were on a beach. And so we took them out to the beach. Each person's letter was in a separate bowl, and we set them on fire and let them burn. And then we took the ashes once they had burned down, and we threw the ashes out into the ocean. And so it was like this big release to just let it go. You know, they had expressed, you know, the feelings and thoughts and all that they had held within for maybe years, and released it and let that go. And these pelicans flew down, swooped over us. I mean, it was phenomenal. It was an awesome exercise.
Just give me a moment.
And breathe.
I would have saved this to last. I didn't realize I was going to have this reaction. So thank you for telling me about that. The second thing that I was going to ask about is, you know, I told y'all that I spent a couple of days, well, 3 days, just by myself, just doing forgiveness worksheets and processing. And I got to this point where there was an opening, because I realized that these are all just
I
concepts.
heard he was coming 3 to 6 or somewhere in there.
I muted Sally's. She was talking to somebody else apparently.
Okay. There was just this is an awareness came through that these are just concepts that, like Michael was just talking about, that I didn't know that I was making things up. I didn't, you know, I was innocent. So the question is, when I see that there's this like a category of beliefs that are all related, like I don't measure up, I'm less than, unequal to, you know, don't deserve, all those kinds of things. Does each one of those thoughts need a worksheet on its own, even though I don't really have a specific situation for it? It's just kind of a generalized, it's like I had one thought and then all these other domino thoughts, you know, happened. So
My offering would be that, Terry, what you're probably talking about, because that's a category that power person dynamics come from. And the message that's usually either directly given by the power person to the child, or that the child makes up based on events and circumstances. The message is usually something like, I'm broken. There's something wrong with me. I'm helpless. I'll never make whatever the variation on the theme is. So my take would be, or my suggestion would be, that you dig out the latest power person worksheet. And, you know, since, yeah, that's a worksheet that until we did those online intensives was just one page, like for 30 years. And out of the processing that happened in those 2 online intensives that are part of the self-study, that worksheet grew to 19 pages. And it really is about digging into, uprooting, and working through all of the tentacles of the power person message and power person dynamic. So I would suggest digging that out and putting that to work. I think you'll find that will open up whatever it is you need to open up to be free of that.
Okay, then I have a question about that as well. So I did start that. I have the newest version and I started that and my mind is going back and forth between what I now know with their always doing the best they can. Not
Notice your breath stopped.
um, always doing the best they can and the so there's
Always doing the thought, always doing the best they can be a really uplifting, powerful, healing thought. And it can be a spiritual bypass by which I hide from myself every hate, every fear, every rage, every trauma, everything I've never wanted to deal with around that.
yeah.
And so it can be a way to bypass that and pretend it's not there. What we're suggesting is if you bypass that and pretend it's not there, it will destroy your life. So what we're inviting people to do is to take the worksheet, use it to go into, when Yeshua says you must forgive from your heart the wrongs of your mother or your father, it's not a bleeding heart statement. That word heart there is the unconscious. He's saying you must delve into your own unconscious dynamics, be honest and true with them. If there's, hatred there, if there's viciousness there, if there's grief there, then you want to be with that and literally forgive, remove that from your unconscious, from your heart, so that you are free of it, and of course they're free of it too. And hand in hand with that can go the understanding, just like with me, I look today at the way my input is in raising my grandchildren. God, I wish I knew with my kids what I know today, but I didn't. I could say to myself, well, I did the best I could, or I could go, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I better do a worksheet. I better do some work around that one. I better go into my own heart, my own unconscious, and remove literally or transmute every energy based in hostility or fear around that to free my physiology of it, my nervous system of it, and therefore my life. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I'll just say one more thing about that, and I think I need to bring a specific example from the Power Person worksheets, but my image of my mother in particular as a child was much different as I actually started doing this work and then began to look at other situations and circumstances in her life and see almost a completely different person.
Yeah.
So, and then I
I
need to start
remember that.
forgiving that
Remember,
because I'm like, oh, that's my issue.
yeah, there
The
you go.
new person, not the person she was when I was, 2, 3, and 4.
Hmm.
But
Well, and they tend to be intertwined. And that's why that power person worksheet, where the reality management, Evan, it took me most current version. I think we edited it maybe 2 or 3 years ago now is our last edit, but it's probably version 3050, and I spent 45 years on it, and it's still one page. But around something like the power person dynamic, if we're going to go in and clean it up, that's a 19-page worksheet to go in and look at every aspect of the mind energy involved and what developed in relationship to that person. And, the underlying unconscious stuff from childhood still feeds into, what's going on today. But yeah, it's the whole thing. And that word personality, persona, means mask. It's a mask that we put on based on what we haven't resolved. And it's a mask that, our parents and their parents and their parents wore, that they were unconscious of. And it's about working through the mask and freeing not only ourselves, but them. So acknowledging your courage.
an important point, bring them too. Thirdly, very quickly, I want to ask about desire.
Yeah, we don't need
So,
to do it quickly. We've got time.
um,
We have time for you, Terry.
oh, thank you. That I need to write that one down. Add it to the list. Um, when it comes to desire, if I desire something, I'm desiring it because some part of me is telling me that I don't have it, it's missing, I should have it, I want it. So I'm trying to reconcile or find this balance point between it's already mine, it already belongs to me. And desiring it. I don't know
Well,
if I'm
somebody, you know, somebody might understand, or we might understand that by right of consciousness, we deserve to have it all. But we don't have it all. We deserve to have it all. But if I'm going to have, let's say my desire is ABC and I don't have it, whatever it is, then I'm going to have to bring it into a goal in my mind and then follow the highest level prompts I've got to produce that result so that what by right of consciousness I deserve, I now actually have.
Say
And
that
part of
again.
that process is going to be removing the blocks that come up.
Okay, just say that, the last like 2 sentences that you said.
So if I'm going to have what I, by right of consciousness, know I already deserve,
Right.
but it's not in my actuality yet, I'm going to have to do something about it. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to frame and set a goal in alignment with my being and my primary and secondary purpose. Is this something appropriate for my life? And then I'm going to set that goal in my mind and then take the highest guidance I find and align with my guidance and do what it takes to produce that result. I'm going to have to take action to produce that result. So,
Okay.
let's say I want to, I want to go get another doctorate. I can say, well, by right of consciousness, and it's been 30 years since I've been in school, and I've done so much research and so much study. I deserve to have one. And well, yep, I do. And am I willing and do I desire to do the work to have that piece of paper and that result?
Okay. And the state of consciousness. So, uh, I think my next question is, how do I do this without coming from a place of lack?
Well, then if your experience of it's not in your physical reality yet points to lack in you, then your next worksheet is around lack. What's my goal? Oh, I want to have abundance. Okay, I cancel my need for abundance. Let my perceptual construct drop into that file on abundance. Take a look around in there. What's in the unconscious around abundance that I need to clean out, that I need to free myself from?
Okay.
And then I recognize that what I deserve by right of consciousness that I do not have in my actuality yet, I'm going to go about doing the things that it takes to produce that or to bring that about in my world.
Okay.
And
All
I'm going
right.
to do it out of that knowing and that abundance that, I'm going to have to do what it takes to produce the result, to bring it about.
Yes, I think I have more clarity on that now. Thank
You
you.
know, if I go for it out of, oh, I don't deserve it, I've never deserved it, I'm not good enough, it'll never work for me, then it's going to take a pretty significant shift to bring about that thing in my actuality. If I come to it from a healed mind, maybe I have a family belief that our family doesn't deserve things like this, so it could never happen. Trying to struggle and get it out of that mindset is going to be quite a challenge. Doing the forgiveness work around and healing that mindset and then coming from, of course I can have this like anybody else could. Boom.
Yeah.
It's the difference of night and day.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Awesome, dear heart. Thank you. And everybody appreciate you joining us.